I was a one-man show, closet warrior, as we say, and Rich gave me the courage to realize that I had a real business. And from there, I was able to go not from just a 7-figure business, but to an 8-figure business within the next 2 years.
I went from making a 5-figure income to a 7-figure income.
My blog went from $5,000 a month to $15,000 a month and then $20,000 a month. I believe we went from 1.3 million to 2.4 million within a year.
We were fairly new in the business of doing internet marketing, and we did not know what we did not know.
The recession had just hit. I had lost half my business. I just wasn't sure what to do at that point.
The best way I could explain it would be if you had a dumpster fire and you were just pouring more gas on the dumpster fire.
Grabbing everything I could because I wanted to make money, but then at the end of the day, it wasn't serving my business.
You individually need to do more. That's what I thought. I thought success was based on how hard you work, how many hours you work.
Everybody else was just coming up with the tricks and the hacks. Here was this guy who brought not just practical digital online marketing wisdom, but he brought practical business with him.
Everybody I knew was like, you need to know Rich. I'm like, Rich, I don't know Rich. Rich,
this is the guru's guru. This dude teaches all the people that we're all reading from.
You got to go to the guru to the gurus.
This guy is the guru to the gurus.
When you get inside kind of the inner circles, everybody knows who Rich is.
Rich was the first person who really explained online marketing in a way that I really could understand and apply.
It was like the light came on in a dark room and I saw, there's a whole layer to running a business I'd never thought about.
Since the time that I started working with him, I've generated, millions and millions of dollars in revenue.
More money started coming in. Then all of a sudden I'm producing products and coaching programs and building an audience that needs what I am good at.
And I'm getting $5,000 for my 12-week program. I'm getting $2,000 for my 4-week program.
But I want to say this, that it's been about more than just the money. I feel like in many ways he gave me my life back.
Besides being a guy who thinks strategically and thinks in terms of solution, Rich is a good guy.
And it's really refreshing to have somebody with his caliber of knowledge who you can tell really cares.
It was freedom. That's the easiest way I could put it. It was freedom.
A sense of freedom, a sense of hope and future, where I could see a path to get to where I wanted to go that I wasn't going to get to on my own.
Someone like Rich can really put worth in you that you're not seeing.
Confidence. In business, so much of our success depends on our own internal confidence.
Having the confidence, knowing the fundamentals and understanding how the business moves.
He works with people who are having your same problem. So he's able to show me someone like me. It's not just someone talking about hypotheticals. These are tried tactics that he's done year in, year out.
I'm glad he's back around, helping people.
I'm excited he's coming out of retirement for this. That's a big deal.
I can certainly recommend it, without hesitation. I know that anything that comes out from Rich Sheffer is going to be top quality.
Best coach, best mentor of my life.
His main concern is making sure that he's delivering more than he promises in every project that he works on.
It had a huge impact on my business, so I'm excited for all the people who will benefit from it this go round. I would just say do it before he goes back into the vault.
I think that you will get just some immense value from working with him.
Even better than he seems, which is rare on the internet.
Welcome, everyone, to another live stream. I'm Rich Sheffrin, and hopefully you can hear me. Let me know if you can. We're broadcasting live from Delray Beach, and I do it every Tuesday from 2 to 4 and every Thursday from 6 to 8, both of these times Eastern. If you've never joined me before, whether you've joined me before or not, please make sure to say hi. Let me know where you're from. It helps me know who I'm talking to, and it lets Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and all the other wonderful social media platforms let them know that there are people watching this and they're interested in it, and maybe they should share it. And if you'd like to share it, I would love it if you would. If you do, put hashtag shared so that this way I can thank you personally. And let's see what else. What we're going to talk about today is really how do you increase your influence? How do you really get yourself more out there, get yourself more known, and therefore help you sell better? So with that said, we'll be jumping around a little bit today. I have some notes that I want to share with you. And for those of you who were watching me last week, I did put the notes from the Courage to Be Disliked in the platform, or at least CJ was supposed to. I did forward it to him, so hopefully that has happened. Let me know if you guys have gotten that. And in relation to, I was motivated to do this topic today because did a Steal Our Winners last week with Molly Mahoney, and we were talking about really how to be more human with your content. And this is something that, if you've been on these live streams, is something that I'm fascinated by, also curious about, as far as how certain people's authenticity just rings so true. in the way they convey who they are. And I'm thinking specifically of like Wes Watson or Katrina Ruth. And so along those lines, right? Like in their type of authenticity, which convey, and Joe Rogan, I would say the same, right? They come off more trustworthy because you feel as if you know them, right? And one of the criticisms I had for Agora when I first got involved with them was that, you know, if you took the 27 personalities in one franchise, you know, the 27 different gurus, and you put all their emails, like the emails that got sent that day, out, would you be able to identify based on the language that of who this was coming from? And they couldn't. And I was like, you see, this is part of the problem. Like, we have all these people writing emails for this one person, and yet we're trying to build a relationship. And if we don't have common phrases that we're using, if we don't have common ways of referring to certain things, like there is no continuity from one email to the next as far as the personality, which is very different than, let's say, you know, an email that you get, or even, let's say, not even an email, like someone writes you a note. A lot of times you can figure out who wrote you the note if they forgot to say who, just based on the language, right? Just based on how it's written. You know, like if someone left me a note and it was all in threes, I would assume it was Jay Abraham who had left me that note. So there you go. Let's say hello to a few people and then we'll get into it. I'd be glad to answer any of your questions, any marketing questions, any business growth questions, etc. We have another issue of Steal Our Winners coming out in the next day or two, and already have some really cool contributors lined up for next month. So I'm excited about that. So yes, Jared, we do. We need to find time to get together. And hello, Hamza. It's a little bit hard for me to see right now. Like, one of the things that we're doing here at my office, I had this big panel like built for my old office, a building a couple blocks away from here that I now rent out. And in between new tenants, I had this wall unit removed because I had it built for me in my old office, and it housed my whole live streaming setup. And so we're trying to get set up here. Of course, right now, I do not have a camera in front of me. So, I mean, I have a camera in front of me. I don't have anything for me to see the camera. And so no monitor. And so it's a little strange because normally I can kind of see what's on the screen. Right now I can't. And so hello, Hamza. And hello, Trader Rob. What are your thoughts on Microsoft 365 and Power Automate? Is there a better recommendation pre-built for marketers? I don't know what Power Automate is. So I feel, Trader Rob, that I might be behind on this. Not really sure what that is. I mean, obviously I know what Microsoft 365 is, but as a Mac person, yeah, I haven't stayed as up to date on the PC side. Sound is good. Thanks for letting me know. Thank you, Daryl. And Trader Rob is in Riverview, Florida. I don't know where Riverview is, but welcome. Hamza is from Morocco. That's a cool place to be. Thanks for sharing, Trader Rob. And hello, Glenn in Florida as well. I like Joe Rogan because he knows he's a moron, but he's always willing to learn and develop. Yeah, but do you really think that Joe is a moron? I mean, he plays it off like he is because that's an easy kind of way to kind of not be held to as high of a standard maybe on what you say. And also, it's a way to be more likable, isn't it? Like, if Rogan came across as a know-it-all, even, you know, like, we would be less inclined to like him. So I would say that that's part of his persona, and how much he's that way off air. Not that he's a different person off air, because he probably isn't, but maybe doesn't stress that off air as much as he does on. Hello, Richard. Good to see you. And Veronica, as always, good to see you in Boston. And Gunther from SA. What is SA? Great to be on live with the master. Thanks for always giving us your time. My pleasure, Gunther. I'm not sure where SA is. Oops. Hi, Richard. Thank you for great strategic content that you share. You're welcome. Thank you, Ned, for sharing. Appreciate you. Excited to be here at 4:10 in the morning in Melbourne. Wow, that's commitment. That's early. Hey, Rich, this is my second participation in the live stream. I missed last week. Glad to see you back. Cool. And Stephen in New Jersey and Dave in South Africa. Very cool. And Gunther, oh, SA is South Africa. Wow, so we got the South African contingent in the house. All right, so I would say that, I wrote a report called The Core Myth, and it was all about how to leverage the story, your story, to grow your business, get better employees, get the most out of employees, attract better prospects, attain greater loyalty, etc. And that's the reason I called it The Core Myth is like when you think about the people that you respect and admire as it relates to business, you know more of their backstories than you probably should. Like, why does everyone know that Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak built the first Apple computer in their garage, and that Steve Jobs dropped out of college, right? Like, we know these, or Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard and sold MS-DOS before he even owned it, right? Or Oprah Winfrey and her troubled childhood. We know these because it's shared with us, and it's shared with us over and over again. And part of the beauty of knowing those things for the person who we know it about is that now that person holds some mental real estate in our brain, right? And so giving people a context, right, of where you came from, why your paths should intersect, and where they will be in the future, and how you will get them there, or how their life will be different because you've come into their life. These are the kinds of things, right, that ultimately determine whether people lean in or pull away when people are talking to you, when people are reading your stuff, finding your stuff, etc. And so I wrote this report called The Core Myth that really leveraged mythology and storytelling, and also the idea of a core concept and how that integration into your marketing campaign, into how you're constructing your persona or your positioning, kind of go hand in hand. Probably the best course I ever went through as it relates to persuasion and influence, not necessarily through tactical stuff, but more on a strategic level, is Dan Kennedy's influential writing. So Dan Kennedy did this workshop called Influential Writing, and in Influential Writing, he really kind of pulled back the curtain, so to speak, and showed people how much in his newsletters were things other than actual actionable advice, and how much of it was more backstory, more things that were being done intentionally to increase influence, right? So it was basically taking a look at his newsletters, right, and thinking about what are all the ways that we can build into this attraction, making what our world attractive. What are all the things that we can do that's not true, Amit, but that's okay. Gates did not get DOS from IBM. He sold DOS to IBM. He got DOS from some other company that he bought it from, but whatever, Amit. Anyway, so next is connection. Do people feel connected to you, right? do they accept your positions? Like, do they take your beliefs on as their own, right? So, you know, like you will hear a lot of people talk about the strategy of preeminence, like Andre Chaperon, right? Andre is taking Jay Abraham's advocated position of the strategy of preeminence and accepting it, right? Sales and purchases, obviously, that's the whole reason that we're talking about influence in the first place. Involvement, getting people involved in your day-to-day, into your business, into your community. Loyalty, retention, ascension, right? So these are the elements that really we're trying to achieve in sharing more of ourselves. We want people to be fascinated by us. We want people to pay attention to us. We want people to hear us, listen to us, and take action based on what we recommend. And so I had this conversation with Molly Mahoney about making your content more human, right? And you know, I don't want to give away the whole like interview. That's not the intention of me doing this, but I do want to pull up one thing. So I'm just looking for it here. Hold on. Where is my Evernote? And let's see, maybe I can even share some of these. Yeah, why not? Oh, there it is. Okay. So let's see if I can share this with you guys. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so share screen, window, Rich Sheffrin attributes, share. Oh, that's cool. All right, I'm gonna do that. And then maybe make this a little bigger. There we go. And then, all right. Can you see that? I don't know. I would assume you can, right? And so it's about taking elements of who you are and really kind of extrapolating from that, right? Because in order to influence people, you have to have them, ideally, right? You have to have them be fascinated with you or the people that you're talking about. They should feel like they share common values with you. What you value, they value. What they value, you value. They need to believe, or they should believe, that you care about them. And ideally you do, because they're the ones that fulfill all your dreams and make your business grow. And they must get value from the relationship that they have with you, right? So that is like that's what's necessary. All right. Steve is in New Jersey, and we already got that one. And hey, Brian is in Vancouver. Welcome, Brian. And Claudio is in Rome. Welcome, Claudio. And Christopher is in the house. And Amit is from Toronto. I have ADD. I'll watch this 20 times after the stream. Much love, Rich. My pleasure, Hamza. Yeah, this is the one I got Das from IBM, as his mother was on an IBM board member. She might have been a board member, but still. Barbarians at the Gate is one of my favorite movies. Yeah, that was a good movie. My full story was too unbelievable. Should I tone it down or go full Black Swan? Well, you know, that all depends there, John. It depends on how much you can substantiate, right? So, for example, I share a lot of stuff that could be kind of seen as somewhat unbelievable, right? The fact that Jordan Belford's first stock brokerage job was where I was working after school, right? So I was actually working there before he started working there. And, or whether, you know, my time when I was hanging out with mobsters from the Colombo crime family and ran away from home and spent time with them. So there's a lot of crazy stories, the hypnosis centers, etc. I would say that as long as you can back it up, or you can show little things that prove that it happened, that it's true, you should leverage it for all it's worth. You know, it is interesting though that you asked that, John, because a lot of times for me, right, I'd have a tremendous amount of testimonials of like insane success, but a lot of people can't identify with that. And so I would need to find smaller success stories that other people could just identify with. But this is not that. You can have a crazy life, and it's not going to make you any further distant from people if you tell it in a way that's believable and is told in a way that's gripping. So hopefully that makes some sense. But go Black Swan. Hi from PSL, Florida. Read your manifesto book last night. Loved it. Oh, well, thanks, man. Hi from Connecticut. Abe from Austin. I'm a math guru, reinvented math from the foundation. Been touring India, lecturing at universities conference, yet I failed math at school. Well, that sounds very interesting, and it sounds like a cool story. I think you should share it. Hey, Abe. Hey, Rich. Where are you streaming? On YouTube plus other places? Yes, I'm streaming on YouTube. I'm streaming on this stream right now is on YouTube. It's on LinkedIn. It's in our Facebook group. It's on my Facebook page. I believe it's also on Periscope, and I would do Instagram, but then like I got to figure out the lines better. If you did something, then it's not bragging. It could still be bragging, but nonetheless, still valuable. So Dan said this, and I thought this made a lot of sense. He said, you know, it's working well, right? When people tell your story back to you, right? When people tell your stories and give you credit versus like it's their story, you get personal fan mail, right? People like write to you personally, which reminds me, where did that go? Oh, yeah. I got a letter today from someone in Prague, which could be interesting. Let's see. Nope. It looks like regular. Oh, no, maybe we'll see. Anyway, got some mail from Prague yesterday. But you know, personal fan mail. They bring their family to come meet you. That certainly has happened numerous times. And they seek your approval and recognition, right? Kind of like how your kids might bring home a drawing that they did so that you can put it up on the fridge and show everyone. Same thing, right? And let's see here. All right. So fascination. People want to know how you do what it is you do if you do something interesting, right? That and how it works. They want you want to understand their frustrations and show them a world without their frustrations. You want people to think like, how does he do that? How is he able to do that? Or how does she do that? How is she able to do that? Right? Authority comes from more from your personal narrative than it does your resume, right? Or your credentials. So your backstory, more than anything else, is what your authority comes from, right? Like whether to use like the examples before, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, right? We're not really that interested in their college degree, or Warren Buffett, right? We're much more interested in people's backstory and where they came from and what they did, right? So one of the questions that I think is a really good question for you to kind of get a sense of how you are currently coming across is to think about, what do you symbolize to the people that you want to influence? So I'll repeat the question. What do you symbolize to those who you want to influence? That might be difficult to answer. That might be easy to answer. If it's difficult to answer, then it's probably difficult to answer because you've never thought about it. You've never thought about, like, you know, what do you want to symbolize? If you're building a brand, if you're trying to gain recognition or authority, then how do you want people to see you? So we talked about this live stream about how to influence others by doing less, right? And to be clear what I'm talking about here, you're doing less because you're allowing your personality, you're allowing who you are to do more, right? The more that people feel like they know you, the more that they like you, the more that they trust you, the easier it is to make the sale and do a lot less work to make the sale, right? Like my reputation precedes me. So it's easier for me to sell someone a coaching program or get hired by their business or whatever else, right? Because my reputation is already paving the way. And the more that I'm known, obviously, the easier that whole process goes. So, what is the story that you tell about yourself to others and the way, and what do you represent, right? So what do you symbolize? What do you represent? What stories do you tell people about yourself, right? And how can it be made as interesting as possible, as fascinating as possible, as engaging as possible, without, making it a complete crock? I would say that, so let's now go back to you guys for a second. Let me answer some more questions and then we'll keep it going. Always good to see you, Taya, with your serious face. When are you launching the coaching program on SOW? I'm going to find out actually on Thursday. On Thursday, I finally get the big reveal of like how the CLR Winners platform is changing. And so along those lines, how we go about doing the coaching program goes hand in hand with that. So Matt and the team are going to be showing me a bunch of stuff on Thursday. So if I'm in a really good mood on the Thursday live stream, then you know that the demo went well. If I'm in a crappy mood, then you know that the team did not blow me away. You are streaming old Japanese movie style, LOL. Oh, because of my hair or because of the colors? Like, what makes you say that, Brian? I symbolize hope for thousands of people in India for the revival of long-lost Hindu culture of math and science. Very cool if that's something that's important to them. People buy from people they like and trust. Of course they do. What do you symbolize to the people you are trying to influence? Don't we all start with a blank page? I mean, we aren't known when we start. Of course, that is the case, Gunther. I mean, I would say that in my... I was the first online business coach. I did teach systems and strategy. And so a lot of people know me for that. I do represent being a strategic entrepreneur, right? Getting out of opportunity seeking. I represent a serial entrepreneur because I've had businesses offline and online in many different fields: clothing, music, fashion, right? Coaching, etc., hypnosis. And so the first step, I would say, as it relates to fascinating, would be to think of at least three things, right, that from your backstory, from your heritage, right, that could be useful in developing a useful story. So for me, it would be like, let's say, three things about my heritage. Okay, so one is my dad was a sociopath. So that's one, right? Another one was that I almost failed out of high school and didn't go to class for over 100 days in my 10th grade year, my 9th grade year. Was a gopher for the mob. First after school job was at Investor Center. That's where Jordan Belford got his first stock brokerage job. That's the one in the strip mall in the Wolf of Wall Street, even though it wasn't in a strip mall. I went to yeshiva. A lot of people find that kind of interesting, considering I'm not typical of someone who went to yeshiva. And so there are all these stories that I can pull out from my past. And anytime where there's a juxtaposition, right? Anytime where like, oh, that's interesting, that's surprising. Those are the things, right? So when I tell other Jewish people that I went to yeshiva, they're like kind of surprised, right? Because yeshiva is 4 hours a day of studying the Torah, right? Our Bible. And did that until 6th grade, until I begged my parents to get out of there. But what are 3 things for you? I'd love to find out from you guys, like some of your 3 things that are from your heritage that you feel like you could leverage. Hey, Dina Colada. I hope your promo crushed it. It did. It's done very well. Any advice on staying enthusiastic about my topics and not crossing over to eccentric and losing audiences? Well, I would say that, let's just see, is I'm just Trader Rob. What do you talk about, Trader Rob? I assume trading. You know, you have to look at you have to look for new things in those things, Rob. And I don't know whether that helps you at all or not, because I'm not sure what niche you're in, but you know, it's easy for me to stay motivated about internet marketing because I'm always talking to new people and they're always sharing new strategies with me. That makes it more exciting, right? So, yeah, it's about creating more than consuming. That's first and foremost. Lazy people can influence people too. So you could be a couch potato too. You could be a couch potato. In fact, some of the most successful people are some of the laziest people, although you wouldn't necessarily know that by, you know, everyone telling everyone to hustle and hustle and hustle and grind. You know, my preference would be to have my ideas do the work for me when at all possible. Syosset guy here that went to Brandeis and Solomon Schechter. Wow, Adam, you're even more Jewish than I am. Check that out. So members of the same tribe. I sat on the chair of Jeff Bezos when working for the firm he was with before starting Amazon. Yes, that's an interesting story. I find that fascinating. And you could, like, you know, did you feel smarter when you wore that, when you sat in that chair? Did you end up like having any wonderful ideas when you sat in that chair? You know, etc. Like a story can be built from that one sentence, and it would be an interesting story. So you're exactly on the right track there. Okay, next is deciding who you are. Like, you first have to decide for yourself who you are. Who are you going to be in this world? What do you stand for? But you certainly, once you know those things, you have to broadcast it, right? You have to broadcast to the world like who you are and what you stand for. And, you know, I think, you know, if I were to all of a sudden take the persona of someone else, it would kind of be obvious, and it would be a turnoff to the people who know me best. So from that standpoint, right, what's your point of view? How do you see the world? What's your worldview? And how do, you know, what's your personal philosophy would be another way to kind of think about it. You know, so one of the things is that, you know, that I've shared countless times is this idea of making the world a better place, right? And not in a crazy way, not even in a big way, but just even insignificantly small, right? So like when I used to take my daughters to the beach, my daughters to the beach, we'd always make it a point for each of us to pick up like one extra piece of garbage that we did not generate ourselves, so that we could not only say, but really feel it, like that this beach is a better beach because we were here today, right? And infinitely small. I mean, 3 pieces of garbage is not going to make or break the beach, but the beach is better because we were there. I think there are a lot of people in our space who sell crap, and therefore you could honestly say the world would be a better place if they did not exist. right? It's one of the reasons why, like, it just there in the if I was writing, Dante's Inferno, I would save the lowest level of hell to people who sell bullshit courses. Why? Because, like, if you steal someone's money, you just take their money. If you sell someone a bullshit course, you've taken their money. You've also, like, robbed them of their time. You've also possibly taken their dream from them. And so for me, the way I see the world, you have muggers and felons and thieves up here, and below them are creators of crappy courses. Now, I'm not asking you to agree with my point of view. I'm just sharing my point of view. And this is my point of view. This is how I see the world. And so there are certain people who I have, like, disgust for, primarily because I see them as, like, an embodiment of what I was just talking about. So that's just one of my views of the world, right? If you've ever heard me talk about how I create demand, I set up that conversation with certain presumptions about the universe that I take as given so that I can do what it is I do. Those are points of view as well. Like when I say that I believe that reality is a lot more complicated than any one of us recognizes, that's a view about the world. And then because reality is a lot more complicated than any of us realize, there's always an ability to map a cause and effect that has not been seen before, which then opens the door for creating demand by leveraging that relationship of symptoms to causes to new problems, right? And if you heard me talk about it, then you know what I'm talking about. So that is what I'm talking about when I say point of view. Hopefully you are with me on that. So as I keep to the questions here, or go back to the comments for a second, if you've got a point of view, then that you feel is tied into your business, by all means, share it. Let's talk about it. All right. I failed math and repeated a year of school. I was noticing errors in my teacher's explanations. I teach others how to fix math anxiety in 1 week after researching for 2,000 weeks. Wow. The interview with Ian Stanley will be available for the $49 members too, and it will be available. I'm not sure what the question is, but the Steal Our Winners with Ian Stanley is just part of Steal Our Winners. So if you're a subscriber to Steal Our Winners, you will get it. We don't keep anything back. At some point, we might add a service above it, like for Steal Our Winners, like maybe you get my personal notes and there'd be an upcharge for that. But yeah, any interview I do for Steal Our Winners, everyone in Steal Our Winners gets it for sure. One thing I like about this man is he tells how it is. Well, thank you, Norman. Appreciate that. What about when you are telling your story to different race groups? Maybe they don't care what you went through. I don't know. I don't change my story no matter who I'm talking to. Yeah, it's a weird time, Gunther. And that is like radioactive. I've never been yeah, I feel as if, like, as someone who's Jewish, there's definitely a lot of anti-Semitism in the world, and I could give a crap about it. I really could care less what anyone else thinks of Jews. Like, your opinion of Jews is none of my business, so I could care less. So I get that. I could care less. I know there are a lot of people who are different ethnicities, races, etc., that totally disagree with, that see the world as a totally polarized place that is black and white, that is, like, divided by religion. I don't see it that way, and so I don't want to do anything that even, like, legitimizes that, because I think it's intensely toxic, intensely. So that's how I think about it, at least. Trader Rob Inc. is my own omni-channel theory on evolving e-commerce concepts, creating brands in every niche in low, middle, and high income, very similar to Mainstays, Great Value, and Walmart. Got it. Although I wouldn't say that, like, I don't know what Mainstays, Great Value, and Walmart. I guess Great Value is by Walmart. Mainstays, I just don't see anything high end in there, but got it. I would appreciate your course ideas. Thank you for putting it into words. What do you mean by course ideas? Course ideas for what, Michelle? Rich, what's your thoughts about building that collapsed in Miami? Yeah, I don't know any of the details of that building that collapsed in Miami. It's obviously it's close by to here. It's a scary thought, right? That it went down at like 1 o'clock in the morning. When I was in LA in '94 when the big earthquake happened. I was actually staying at a Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons. I don't remember, but it was a really nice hotel, and it was in Beverly Hills. And the Ace Awards were Sunday night. I wasn't there for that. And Monday morning at 4 o'clock in the morning was when the earthquake happened. And so the alarms went off in the hotel. They told everyone to put the bathrobes on and get down to the lobby. And when I got down to the lobby, it was all celebrities because the Ace Awards were last night. And this was in Beverly Hills. And this was like a Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons. And so everyone was just so happy to be alive that everyone was super friendly. So Harvey Keitel was there in a bathrobe. A lot of famous people were there, and it was kind of cool. But yeah, it's the only time I've ever been in like I've been in hurricanes and stuff like that. Something about, though, the earthquake that was kind of reminds me of like a building going down, because there were buildings going down. Don't go there. Yeah, I don't think so. Bingo, Rich. Cool. Yeah. Some will, some won't. So what next? Yep, exactly. Exactly. And yeah, I mean, look, I have no idea what it's like to be any other race than my own, and I don't pretend that I do. But I don't think anyone. Yeah, one day I'll go off on it. I don't want to do that today. Okay, so the next idea, right, is what are you known for? What are you known as? What is told and retold about you by others? Now, this is interesting, right? Like I want to share a special kind of positioning hack or authority hack, if you want to call it that. Don't know if I've ever shared it in a live stream. I don't think I have. But as many of you know, right? Like, Jay Abraham and I wrote the Maven Manifesto, and it was all about, like, I think it was the first course out there on how to be an authority in your market, right? Because when I wrote the Attention Age Doctrine 1 and 2, it was very clear to me that authorities were going to be, as attention becomes more scarce, people will look to authorities to kind of cut through a lot of the BS. And the reason why Jay and I did that was that Jay's been behind more offline gurus than anyone, and I've been behind more online gurus than anyone. So when I'm establishing a guru, right, one of the most important people to talk to, if you can, but I've never heard anyone else talk about this, is to interview the girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, whatever, right? Because like if my friends got together, right, there would be certain things that could be said where they would all agree that is so Rich, right? That is so Rich. I could see Rich doing that. So generally, like, close friends, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, they're going to have certain things like that, when I'm establishing a guru, those are the things I want to know. right? Because those things that people who know me would say that's so rich are the things that are most easy for me to display, even when I don't know that I'm displaying it, but my friends feel that way, or my spouse feels that way, or my girlfriend. I don't have all of those, by the way. It's not like I'm a gangster. Like you have your wife, you've got your mistress, and you got your girlfriend. No, I just have a girlfriend. Anyway, like what would they say? What is so you? Right? You know, the people that know me know that I get very into a lot of things, that I'm super into nootropics, that I'm willing to try almost anything at least one time. So, you know, we can build a bunch of narratives from there. All right. Let's see. All right. I'm trying to think of different things to share. Let me go back to the attribute sheet for a second. I guess. Let's go here. There we go. All right. So here are some, so one of the things that Molly asked me to do, which you'll get all the details in, I don't think this month, but next month, but this month coming, Ian Stanley's in. For those that asked, the first thing was to list out a bunch of skills that you have. And this was, once again, this is to humanize your content. I got this from Molly Mahoney. She wanted me to go over skills, activities, appearance, and values, and what I eat. Those are the building blocks, right? So what skills do I have? Well, you know, for many of you might not even know this, like I studied accounting in college. I actually did extremely well in accounting. I had a lot of scholarships from Arthur Andersen and Andersen Consulting. I got job offers from Arthur Andersen and Andersen Consulting. And of all the things I've ever done, probably what I am best at, believe it or not, is accounting. Next, right? So that's a skill I have, and I can tell a lot of stories about that. I can leverage that in so many ways. Another skill set I have is I was a therapist, right? Like when we opened up our hypnosis offices, I was certified as a hypnotherapist, and I did hypnosis, but it was in a area of therapy. So I was a therapist. I know how to listen to people. I'm empathetic. That definitely translated into coaching. Right? I'm a hypnotist. I'm a poker player. Helped promote some of the professional poker players that a lot of people know, and was involved in the popularity of World Poker Tour a gazillion years ago, and things like that, right? So you can see on this list that when you start listing out the skills that you have, it helps reinforce different ideas for stories, right? So let's check back in with you guys. All right. Hi from Russia. Well, hello to you, sir or woman. Rich, when the interview with Ian Stanley will be available? In 2 or 3 days. When is the interview with Ian Stanley coming out? Wow. I guess we got some Ian Stanley fans in the house. Next, in 3 days. Human race is the best race, although dolphins are awesome. So are octopus. Octopus are pretty awesome too. Thank you for your great advice and solutions. My issue is that I have created a NPO with the purpose of uplifting a nation. I'll be focused on the poor of the poor, with the majority being African people. If I want to impact them, I need to grab their attention. Maybe my story will make them think I'm arrogant. It's all how it's told, Gunther. It's all how it's told. When I've done it poorly, I've gotten that I'm arrogant. So I get what you're saying. Such a great idea, interviewing family. Yeah, well, it's all about if this person were to write a note, how would you know it was from them? If you were going to tell a best friend from high school about your spouse, how would you describe them? Right? If the person had passed away and you were at a funeral and you were discussing the qualities that made this person unique, what would they be? Right? These are the type of questions that will get you that. Rich, who has the most influence who has most influenced you in business, who you follow up until now? Well, I think I've shared this story, but I think it's worth repeating. You know, I've had many great mentors in my life, but the two primary mentors I've had, and it's probably one of the reasons why I've been successful and I've been really lucky and fortunate to have these two men as mentors of mine, are Jay Abraham and Mark Ford. And believe it or not, Mark Ford also learned marketing from Jay. So we both, Mark and I, have that in common. Now, whenever I had a new idea, though, I would always go to Jay and not Mark, because Mark wasn't really that interested in new ideas, and Jay was very interested in new ideas. And so that really got me thinking quite a bit about that. And over the years, what I realized is that for Jay is much more focused on business than Mark. More of Jay's life is business. His friendships come out of business. And you know, I've been fortunate to be partners with Jay for close to 20 years, been to his 60th surprise party, 70th birthday, same with Mark, 60th and 70th. And what I came to realize was that Mark saw business as a vehicle to then live a great life, whereas Jay saw business as the vehicle of a great life, not to get to a great life, but of a great life. In other words, Jay, all of the variety in Jay's life primarily comes through business. Whereas for Mark, most variety does not come in business. Most in business is to stay kind of like standard, less experimenting, you know what works, and have a life outside of it with lots of variety. So when I would bring a new idea to Mark, he would not be interested because, you know, related to business. Whereas with Jay, he'd be very interested. And because if he always did the same thing, then his life would be boring, because all variety comes in through business. So if he didn't get to experience that variety in his business, he'd have no variety. Whereas for Mark, the business remains the same, the life has variety. And so I would say for me, what has been most influential is both, seeing both, because for me, I don't want to have my life be like it was when I was semi-retired from 2012 to 2017. Like, it was pretty unfulfilling. And what I came to realize was I need more hobbies, more things that I'm vested in, more interested in. That, you know, reading is wonderful. I love to read. I love to learn. But like, if there's no outlet for it, it eventually seems like wasted time. Like, you know, what are we learning all this for if we're not going to do anything? So for me, I would say it was a combination of the two, and really understanding the difference, and me kind of figuring out, like, who do I want to be? How do I want to live? How will I define success? If you've never taken the time to define success, I know this is like a tangent here for a second, but bear with me with my ADD. If you've never taken the time to define what success means to you, like, how will you define a successful life? I strongly recommend that you do that, because if you don't, it means you're just living by other people's terms. And if you've never taken the time to really, like, how will I define success for myself? If you've never done that, you know, you should. How about that? I'll just say you should. Hi, Rich. Great to see you. Great to see you, Rajesh. I'm finding a lot of professional poker players are also highly successful in business and marketing. Yeah. Well, so Warren Buffett, I got to tie my shoes. It's crap out of me. Warren Buffett and Bill Gates play bridge, and a lot of card games for money is one of the number one things that billionaires have in common. While some of them play bridge, some of them play poker, but card games for money is one of the most common traits among billionaires. Are you familiar with Chris or Zuck? No, I don't know Chris. Should I? Should I know Chris? My goal is to switch the world from arithmetic to Tick. Set myself in press, quoted me in 1998. My story has been public, very slow moving, yet profound. That it's just about working it on your personal influence. Are you saying that we use our personal Facebook page to tell more about yourself, to let people get to know you, or use a different media to increase that influence? Well, I wouldn't just suggest, I'm saying to it should be incorporated into anything and everything. So, you know, earlier in my career, right, when I first became a customer of Jay Abraham's, and I was reading either Stealth Marketing or Mr. X or one of his books, I got to know a lot about Jay, because Jay in his books, not only was he sharing success stories, but he was using those to illustrate points. And because he was pulling from his past to illustrate his points, like, I was learning more and more about Jay. So by the time I finished, like, whatever that first book of his or first set of papers or whatever I read of his first, I not only learned a lot, like on marketing and stuff to grow my business, but I learned a lot about Jay. And it made me feel like this guy has the magic touch. And he could have conveyed the same information and been kind of like blended into the background, right? So, and this is like, there are charismatic teachers, and then there are teachers that really kind of like the material stands in front of. Ideally, you want to be a charismatic teacher from the standpoint online. That's what's going to give you influence, right? So it's not just about putting it on your personal Facebook page. It's about embedding it throughout what you do, right? So, I mean, I'm trying to convey value here today, but there's like, I can't avoid sharing certain things from my own life in order to do that. And by doing so, that gives you a chance to know more about me, right? And so, you know, this is not, let me tell you lots of rich stories, but at the same time, in order to convey certain points, I'm going to bring up certain things. So hopefully that helps, but it's not just about putting it on your Facebook personal page and thinking that has done it. You know, you have to connect the dots all the time for your prospects. Okay, let's see. I'm not sure what you're asking me as far as how to overcome past failures. I'm not sure how that plays out for you. Like, what does that look like? That's why I followed you forever, because of your expertise and Jay, and I like Mark Ford. Well, cool, Kat. Thanks for saying so. Should I? Is that what she says? I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh. Is that what she says? Okay. Rich, can you elaborate more on why you think billionaires have playing card games in common? Well, look, I'm not an expert on this. I'm not a billionaire, although I've helped some people become billionaires. But I've met quite a few of them over the years. And if you think about it, and I really know nothing about bridge, so if anything I'm saying totally is not in line with bridge, then I apologize. But I do know poker really well. And poker is not, like, at the end of the day, the best poker players are playing the other people. They're not playing their cards. They're not playing your cards. They're playing you, right? And, you know, I was fortunate to have the experience of playing with some of the top poker pros, but not for a lot of money. We were at the Bellagio, and they were waiting for the, you know, the heavy duty table, and we were just fooling around like at $1 or $5 table, right? And I was sitting with Phil Locke, the Unabomber, you know, the Unabomber of poker. Howard Lederer was someone I was doing a lot of deals with, Gus Hansen, and a bunch of others. And, you know, Phil Locke, he knew what my whole cards were. Like, he could call them based on how I was betting. And it was very clear to me that, like, here I am, like, at the first level, you're playing your cards, right? You're betting based on how your cards are. As you get better, you're playing maybe the, you know, what the flop, like what those cards are projecting. When you get better, you're playing your opponent's cards. And when you're playing at the highest level, you're just playing the other person. The cards are kind of irrelevant, like based on what you're picking up from them. So I would say that if you think about it, right, there's implied odds in everything. The odds of winning something versus how much is at risk and what the payoff is. So in sports gambling, like with horses, anytime that the odds are higher, like the odds that the paying odds, like what you'll win, anytime that's higher than the actual odds, right? That's what's called an overlay. So, you have a 50% chance of winning, but when you win, you get 3 times the amount back. Well, you're getting 3 to 1, even though your odds of winning are 1 out of 2. And because of that, right, if you just keep betting, you will win a lot of money over time because you're getting an overlay. The odds that you're getting paid when you win are higher than the odds of winning. Okay, it's called an overlay. Being able to calculate implied odds versus paid odds gives you a sense of understanding risk. Understanding risk is critical to the game of business, right? Also, like in business, people bluff. You play against other people, right? Sometimes, a customer says, I want X or I'm going to leave. That might be true or they might be bluffing, right? So it's a game that's played strategically. You learn more about your competitors over time, and that influences your thinking. You have to be good at, or at least comfortable with, calculating odds and then understanding where you're getting a higher return against the odds versus a lower return, which you wouldn't want to bet. And so for all these reasons, right, it's not surprising to me that card games for money is one of those things that billionaires most share in common. Hopefully that's helpful. I'm pretty proud of that answer, considering that I just gave it off the top of my head. But I would say that that's the best I could come up with on the fly, for sure, as to why I think maybe so many billionaires have that in common. So many golden nuggets. Thank you, Milos. Where's a good place to start in strategic profits? Well, Trader Rob, the first thing to do would be to join our free Facebook group. So that would be first and foremost, because in our Facebook group, there's a bunch of material that I've created and written that we used to charge for that, we would probably still charge for if we didn't have the Facebook group. So, for example, like I've written this one report called The Hidden Obstacles to Success. For many of the people that have read it have told me it's life transforming. It was the only report I've ever written on the mental side, self-helpy, self-personal development stuff. And also got me the most amount of unsolicited positive feedback. And that's there free in the Facebook group. We put all of these videos in the Facebook group, plus a bunch of other stuff. So that's where you would start. The next step would be Steal Our Winners. And I have mixed feelings about saying this, but I will say it anyway. The smartest move is to lock in a lifetime subscription if you can. The price is going to be going up. When we first launched this thing, it was $250 lifetime. It is now $1,000 lifetime. It will be going to $2,000 lifetime, and at some point it will go higher than that. So the earlier someone can get in, the better it is for them. Obviously, the better it is for me that people just pay monthly, but I would say that getting into Steal Our Winners, highly valuable, because it's really like an insurance policy of knowing that you're always going to know the latest and greatest and best tactics that are currently working in the market, which, the prices for understanding that is only going to go up, and the value of it will only go up. Awesome answer. Thank you, Daryl. Rich, one thing I noticed with all marketers, they all say they did wrestling, kung fu, or hypnosis. Is that true? I mean, I wrestled for like a week in junior high, and that's because I've always been like heavy, right? Like, so right now, I think I weigh 200 pounds. And you know, like when I watch UFC, I'm no bigger than Conor McGregor. So like, and he was, you know, competing at 145 and 155, and I'm 200. And at 195, like I have a 6-pack. So, and it's not like I carry my fat in my legs, so yeah, so wrestling, probably not ever going to be. Kung Fu, I did do karate and MMA, but you know, I would say though, wrestling is probably, I didn't know this about wrestling when I was younger. I know this to be now. Like nothing teaches you how to be cool with hard work better than wrestling. It is gritty. It's uncomfortable to say the least, right? SOW is a no-brainer. The offer is definitely an IQ test. Well, thank you. And yep, you know, I don't know if I ever showed you guys this, but I think you guys would get a real kick out of this. It was the wrestling thing that reminded me of it. Don't know if I ever told you guys, but when we were setting up the campaign for Steal Our Winners, you know, the CSIB campaign, etc. We let me see. I'm just looking for it now. Yeah, let's see which one of these it is. So what we did, we sent a let's see. Okay. We sent a invitation to Russell Brunson. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. Let me do this. Okay. And let me just do it from here. So we sent an invitation. We were trying to schedule what we wanted to do was have a fight. A fight from, let's see here. I'm just going to pull it up here. Drop a match between Mark Ford and Russell Brunson, which would have been hilarious. So let me see here. I'm looking for miscellaneous, Mars Michelle, CSIB, miscellaneous. Not sure. No. All right, let's see. I'm going to open this. I think it's got to download it. So yeah, it's downloading. So give me a second here, but we're going to download this. I think you guys will get a kick out of this, and I'm just reminding you about it. Oh, there we go.
Hey Russell, I heard you want to come down here and kick my ass. And I don't know if you have a problem with your dad or something, since I'm probably his age or maybe your grandfather's age. But if you want to come down here and try to beat me, that's fine. And if you do, then you could go tell your dad you just beat a guy that was his age. On the other hand, what happens if I kick your ass? That's going to be pretty hard for you to digest. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you.
I thought that was funny. And hopefully you guys thought that was funny too. It ended up not happening, obviously, or you guys would have seen it, but you know, that was there for fun. And because if we could actually get them to have fought, that would have been fun. At the same time, we were also thinking about inviting, who was it? Jordan Belford and Grant Cardone, because they had like issues amongst themselves. So you know, we were thinking about doing that. Oh, look who's in the house, Matt Stafford. Hey, Matt. My team is trying to track you down for that link, and I told them, like, look, it's only for the Shopify stores. Everyone else is going to be able to do it. But great contribution from Matt in this month's Steeler Winners. It's about to come out. And yeah, good. Matt is one of the co-founders of Build, Grow, Scale, which is one of the best companies out there teaching how to make your physical product store perform the way it should in e-commerce. That's hilarious. Thanks, man. Haha. That's funny. Yeah, it shows you when we have too much time on our hands, right? So yeah, so that's I think that answered that question though, and so I guess it's time to talk about like where can you use these stories. So we talked about, right, how like I really drank the Kool-Aid numerous times in my life, right? So I did a internship with Arthur Andersen in the summer of my sophomore year. That was when I first like worked for them. My junior year, I took the year off and then worked for them full time. Yeah, and when I did that, I got sent to St. Charles, Illinois, which was where Andersen Consulting and Arthur Andersen had bought a college and had turned it into a corporate training facility. And some of the best education I ever got was there, better than my time at Harvard or NYU or Case or any place else. And at that training facility, like in this thick glass, right, like around it, they had the original door from Arthur Andersen's office, right? And they really made you feel like it was a true honor to work for Arthur Andersen, that the world expects more of you because you do, that we have very high standards. And it made you, like, I drank the Arthur Andersen Kool-Aid. I didn't, like, had I ended up ever working for someone else after graduating college, it would have been Arthur Andersen. I really believed that I was lucky to work there. We're the best company, like all this kind of stuff, right? And so I really kind of drank the Kool-Aid. And when I bought Jay's stuff, same thing. Like when I read his stuff, I really drank the Kool-Aid about Jay. So, you know, it's not just about like putting your stories like on your Facebook page. It's about understanding that your stories about you should be anywhere and everywhere. You can use stories to explain who you are. You can explain stories about why you're here and why people should listen to you. Like, in other words, to gain authority. You can use your backstory as a way to show affinity and compress time. You can use your backstory and stories to convey empathy, that you know what it's like, what they're going through, right? To create a bond by creating a common past, right? To make yourself seem more human and believable. If like you've got, you know, it would be different, right? Like if I did these live streams and like only like painted a picture of everything being wonderful, super successful at all times, and not tell you like, you know, last week when I was having a really hard time bouncing back from all my travels, or being in a slump, or, you know, any of these other things, right? Like these kinds of things make it so that I am more human, right? Because yeah, I might read like a machine. I might have produced results that are pretty insane, but my day-to-day life is not that different from yours. I promise you that. And so when people can appreciate that, you're more relatable, right? To share your philosophy, to share an inconvenient truth, to glorify a value, right? Like any of these things. Trying to think of like where to go here, like what things to show you next. Let's see. All right. Is that the queue now in St. Charles? I don't know. What is the queue in St. Charles? Not sure. Time to get to the meat. What does that mean? Thought I've been going over the meat. I would say that like now what I want to share this one thought with you guys that also, I think helps people more fully comprehend like the common enemy, right? So if you have an enemy that's really bad, that makes the character likable, even if he's not likable. So I don't even know if this TV show is even around. I remember watching it like over a decade ago, I think. But the TV show House, who people have like, unfortunately, people have kind of told me that sometimes I remind them of him. But House, right? House was not a likable guy in the sense of his personality. Like he was kind of brusque and blunt and stuff like that. But he was always fighting against some deadly disease. So it was easy for you to take and root for House, right? Because he's taking a deadly disease on that just at the beginning did something horrible to someone. So the worse the enemy, the more likable you are, right? Take on a bigger enemy and you are more likable because of it, especially if people fall on that side, right? So that is kind of the thought there, right? Let's see. I'm just looking through my notes here about what to share here. The enemy is within. True. All right. Let me see. Okay. So here are some other ones, right? So another person who has spent some time thinking about like all the ways that people can feel like they know you is Scott Oldford, right? So Scott has his omnipresence content blogs. And these are the things that when you're retargeting people, you want them to come across so that they get to know you better, right? Like you better and buy from you more, right? So your personal story, something that you've gone through that creates transparency between you and your audience, right? That's number one, your personal philosophy and beliefs, a belief that shows your audience what and why you do what you do, right? What do you believe in that actually facilitates that? Lifestyle, a post that shows your audience how you live and how you practice what you preach. Authority and value, it's where you offer something of high value that places you in a position of authority so that you can share your expertise and skill set, right? The results of your training, where you break down how a process works and provide practical training or help, right? Your process or method, similar to training, right? Highlighting an actual process your audience can use to move closer to their solution, get further away from their problem. Whoops, just opened an email by accident. Pain problem. You highlight your audience's pain or problem and link it to how you can help them. Like a lot of people experience this. This is one time I suffered from this, or my mother did, or my sister did, or my brother did, right? PR, where you promote a piece of content that's appeared on an authority site about you. Celebrity, where you associate yourself with other celebrities. Testimonials and case studies. Question, that is where you ask your audience something in a bid to create engagement and start conversations with them. Invite, ask. Solution, application, similar to invite, ask, right? This is where you invite your audience to take an action, creating a micro commitment so that you can then send them something. Your aim is to consistently be top of mind. And the more that you can take things that are not business related and be posting them to social media, leaving a trail of breadcrumbs so that people can trip upon them. Oh, the Q in St. Charles, got it. Hopefully that makes sense, right? That the more areas that you have to pull from, the easier it is to stay top of mind. And what my goal is really, and what the reason I was really interested to talk to Molly Mahoney about this and humanizing my content is that, gurus were around before influencers as far as in the online world, but influencers certainly have grown and eclipsed gurus. And I think going forward there, and I don't think this is anything new. I don't think this is revolutionary or anything like that. Gurus have to have like a certain amount of not only influence, but like have footprints similar to influencers, or you seem like you don't know what you're talking about. And so like for me, I've never really pushed to get lots of followers anywhere except on my email list, but I'm not embarrassed by having like 100 and some odd thousand people as fans on Facebook, right? Like certainly could have a lot more, but it's respectable. Whereas on Instagram, I have like 3,000 followers, and that doesn't correspond with what I've accomplished, what I've like achieved, what I've helped others achieve, etc. And so I want to expand my footprint and my influence and not have it work against me. And so understanding what really drives social media, and it's much more the human element than the business element, is critical if I want to grow that side of my business, which we all agree in my business would increase the business, right? So that's kind of the idea there. See, you are genuine, and why you act as the human you are so relatable. You are not faking it or hyping it. You are a safe zone, and that's enough for us to receive you. Well, thank you, Emmy. My spirit doesn't hurt after I listen to you. House is a great reference. I've always related to the character's methods on creating and solving puzzles. Right, Trader Rob. But understand that it wasn't, if you took House's character and you put him in a different context, he might not be liked. It's the fact that he's fighting these deadly diseases that makes you root for him, and then makes you like him and see the benefit, see the good in him and all those things. But the character of House could be just as easily made to be dislikable. And you wouldn't have to change House to do it. You'd change the outside, right? You change the context that he was operating in. Rich, will you high ticket offer products for affiliates to promote? Sure, of course we will. Of course we will. All right, so let's see what else. I'm thinking that we're going to cut today short unless you guys have any other questions. I do want to peel back. Let's see. Yeah, well, I'm going to share a couple last things here and then we'll call it a day. But if you have any questions, love to answer them. So let me know. So what are my values? This was another one of the elements that Molly Mahoney wanted me to fill out. So my values from my personal values are freedom, self-expression, and positive impact, right? So the positive impact is what I was talking to you about earlier, as far as like when I take my daughters to the beach or something like that, making the world a little bit better of a place because we existed. Like if I feel like if we each lived our life that way, the world would just be a much better place. And I tried to live my life that way. Freedom and self-expression, I guess they go hand in hand. But for those of you that know my backstory as far as being locked in a room when I was younger, not really being listened to very much, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, like you can understand freedom. The ability to not be locked in a room is certainly nice. And self-expression, the ability to express what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. These are my values, but not only for myself, they're my values for what I think is important. Being free, being able to express who you really are, and making a positive impact on those around you and the world, right? Business-wise, my values are integrity, doing what you say, right? Living up to your promise. Pursuit of excellence. We want to try and get our customers the best type of material possible and committed to the customer's success. Those are our key values there. And last but not least, Trader Rob, there already is a groove version of Steal Our Winners. What I eat, right? So Diet Coke, stocked coffee. I'm consistently fasting. I do eat Brussels sprouts, stimulants, microdose mushrooms. I eat a ridiculous amount of skirt steak. And for those that don't know, my favorite two cookies are almond cookies, rainbow cookies, those tricolored cookies, and marzipan. right? And I can tell stories about that. And if any of those are unique and you never heard of it, then maybe the next time you see a rainbow cookie, you might think of me. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about top of mind awareness. So a little bit shorter of a live stream today, but that will just give me more to share with you on Thursday from 6 to 8. So, as always, guys, I want to express my appreciation for you being here, for listening, for commenting, for sharing. You could be in a lot of places and you decided to be here to hang with me. And I appreciate that. Just like if I was having a party at my house and you decided to swing by, I'd appreciate you for that as well. So I will, I'm going to have some people join us on some of these live streams pretty soon. I know I have someone joining me this Tuesday, although I don't remember who. And then I just spoke to a new friend in Israel, Meir, and he's going to be joining me on a live stream as well. And we're going to mix it up a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe I can get some of my members of my team to join us one of these days as well. And got still a busy day. My assistant CJ just got an offer from a startup that he applied for before he applied to work with me. And he's been given a lot of responsibility. So he's going to be joining them. He just gave me his 2 weeks. So I'm talking to someone later today to replace him. And I guess that's it for today. So to Higher Profits and Beyond, this is Rich Sheffrin over and out. Thank you for being here, and speak to everyone soon, hopefully Thursday from 6 to 8.